Hey there. Well, for me, today is a great day because I was born on this day many years ago. I'm grateful I woke up above the ground today and not below it. That is a good day. No matter how tough things get, that's a really good day. And I find myself today more grateful than I've ever been before in my life. I was journaling and thinking about things this morning as I woke up, and I always get reflective around this time. I don't know about you, but my birthday, I always get very reflective about things. And I'm happy, I'm grateful that I'm grateful. I think for a lot of people, we go through life looking at what we don't have. And for whatever reason, however this happened over the last 4 or 5 years, I've cultivated this practice of learning to be really, really grateful for what I have. And um, I wake up today thinking about my craft, my work, and the things I've been able to do. And I just want to say thank you. If you've ever watched a video or read anything that I've read or supported any of my work or even chose to work with me somewhere along the line, I hope that I've made a difference for you in a meaningful way. And even if you have never bought anything or supported or bought a book or anything like that, and you're watching this for the first time, thanks for watching for the last 90 seconds or so. Uh, this dude rambling about his birthday. Um, I want to share a couple of things here just as I reflect. This last year for me in particular has been a really year of massive change, a lot of things going on. If you followed my work at all over the last year, you know that a lot of things changed last year in my business and a lot of things personal life. I said farewell to my dad who passed about a year ago. I've shared about him and our journey through the years as we've reconnected and patched up that relationship, and then learning to say goodbye, and then learning to say goodbye and a lot of other things in my business. And this week has been no exception. My birthday is on June 25th, which happens to be at the end of the summer. And I remember way back when I was graduating high school, my high school graduation took place on my birthday. And today feels like a graduation of sorts because this week I said farewell to a lot of things that I had done in my business, a mastermind group that had run for a really long time. There are people that were in that group for 6 or 7 years, a community that I founded around one of my books called You Are the Brand. And I've been running that community in some shape or another for the last 4 years. And today was our actual last call. That was not intentional. It's just we happened to meet on Thursdays, and so the second Thursday of the month here that we were meeting happened to be my birthday. And tomorrow, I'm going to a wedding for the daughter of my former boss at the last company I worked for over 10 years ago. We are still friends, and they are one of my very few ongoing marketing retainer clients. I've known their daughter since she was like 5 years old, I think, and I work with her now because she heads up a lot of things at the company. And how cool is that? I get to go to a wedding tomorrow. And then on Saturday, I fly overseas and I disappear for a couple of weeks to just go off grid and go to Asia and going to bounce around a little bit. I'm going to try really hard not to bring my laptop. I don't know if I'm going to do that. The people are challenging me to do it. Man, that's going to be really hard. But all that to say, what a week of weird feelings. Saying goodbye to these containers that I've hosted, saying goodbye to those groups and that rhythm, saying goodbye to a year, okay? And then going to a wedding and then going to a vacation to explore new possibilities. So it's like a lot of endings and closings happening at once. And I'm not the wisest person in the world, but a few things that I've learned about life through the years is that we celebrate new beginnings so often, and we very, very rarely celebrate good endings or just even endings in general. We always want to add more, more, and more and more. And I've found through the years that it's really hard to catch something when you're already holding something else. So you sometimes just have to make room and let go of the rope that you're holding on to so you can grab the next one. I'm in that weird in between liminal period right now. And it really has to do, obviously, some people, we're in situations where we have to worry about money and we have to worry about where we're going to make our living. And I've been there too. And yet I think that can sometimes mask us from identity and what's like really going on inside and what's really going on underneath. I have the same worries as everybody else. I'm not, there's no Elon Musk here. I'm not a trillionaire or anything like that. It's just like Um, let's not go down that road. If there's one thing I've learned over the years is that to make room for the new thing before the new thing shows up, like it does. If there's one thing I've learned about life through the years, that liminal in between period can feel very, very disorienting. I'm in that right now. However, it's really hard to catch the new thing when you're already holding on to something else, right? You got to let that stuff go so your hands are free to catch whatever else is coming. And that's a principle I've taken to heart on a lot of different things through the years. Um, maybe maybe a foil to that would be another piece of advice that somebody shared with me. I was like in my early 20s or something like that. And people at that age and that stage and they want to go do things and they want to be set free and they want to fly and they want to spread their wings and all that sort of stuff. And this guy gave me this analogy, said, it's like a kite that's flying high in the sky and says, this string is keeping me down. I want to fly and soar higher. And so the kite wants to cut the string. And what happens when you cut the string? The kite falls to the ground, right? The thing that the kite thinks is keeping it from flying higher is actually the thing that is keeping it grounded and tethered. And I present those two pictures. They are very different. They're two sides of the same coin, though, to me. And the game is just finding out which is which, right? Make sure the thing that's connecting you and grounding you is a good thing, right? Also, you just don't want everything to ground you because you'll never get up. You'll never get up. You'll never get going. And just to kind of dovetail all this, and I'm going to just get back to my next calls here, I guess. A very wise person, a counselor, a therapist, shared with me many years ago when I was going through some really personal stuff, and she kind of saw what I did at work. I don't give her a shout out. Her name is Susie Miller. I've talked about her a lot through my life. She said, I noticed that at work, your presence is really meaningful to people. I think you should realize that. And I was at a time where I did not feel that way because of what I was going through in my personal life. Like, man, it's just like nobody appreciates me, or like the people that I thought would appreciate me or that, loved me or I loved, what is going on? And she was trying to say something along those lines like, hey, no, there are people who appreciate you. You should be around them more. And your presence is meaningful to people. That is how I have tried to live with an awareness of, like, in my life. In my vocation, sure. In my vocation, I've been coaching and mentoring and advising people for well over 10 years. I've run some communities, as I mentioned, and I tried very, very hard. And I tried very hard through those years not to be somebody who kept others at arm's length. I tried to be a real person. I tried to be a present person rather than someone who's just pre-recording things or be a pre-recorded pundit, if you will. I think I wrote, that was a thought that I had in my mind, right? A present person, not a pre-recorded pundit. And I've tried to really, really be an alternative to what was out there in the world because that's how so many people feel. Like they feel like these like sages are up on the stage and up on the mountaintop or whatnot. I'm like, hey, let's just meet people where they are, really there, where they really are. And to that, I want to say that your presence has been meaningful to me. Maybe we haven't met in real life. Maybe we have. Maybe you've just left a comment here or there on videos or posts that I've put up, or maybe we've been masterminds and shared time together face to face, or we've been in different cities together. I think about all the people who have made me who I am. I'm so grateful. I find myself so grateful to the people who I've worked with over the years who have really helped shape how I show up into the world. My friend Jason Clement, who's designed most of my work for part of the last decade and a half. I think about Chelsea Brinkley, who was so scary, like one of the first people I ever hired. And she had access to everything, all of my credit cards, all the bank accounts, all the business operations. She's just like an amazing friend. We all became friends. Dwayne Zingali, who I work with right now, very closely, I've known for over 10 years. Connie Pack, who has also held all the keys to the kingdom, if you will, that just really shaped who I am and how I show up in the world. I think about one of my business partners, Mary Valloni, who we've been working together for almost a decade. Crazy, just crazy where the time has gone. And how work has become a conduit for the best relationships and the most meaningful experiences of my life. And as I head into this third quarter of my life, it really is the third quarter. Like the math is mathing. This is the start of the third quarter. I'm definitely there, right? Coming out of halftime. And you think about a sports analogy. I love sports analogies, but you're at halftime, you're like, what adjustments do we have to make? Like halftime's over, dude. Like third quarter started. You got to make in-game adjustments. And I think that's hard for a lot of us sometimes. And it's like you learn to rest in motion and you learn to adjust in motion. You learn to make in-game adjustments. And as I've been able to pause a little bit today, and I will take some time off here, but I've started to think really intentionally about what I want the finish of this life to look like. A question I've been asking myself a lot is, where can I actually make the most impact? One of the earliest, most impactful books that I read when I started my career in this whole consulting and advising world, which I did not know existed, by the way. I didn't know that that was a thing. I read this book by Alan Weiss, and it was called Getting Started in Consulting. There's another variation of it called The Consulting Bible or whatnot. I've never attended an Alan Weiss event. I don't really, know a lot of his inner workings or whatever. But that book, he said one thing. He said, my job is to change the client's condition. And I love that. It sounded a little clinical, but I love that from a business for change their condition, obviously for the better, right? But change their condition. And that's what I'm set on doing. How can I affect the most meaningful, impactful change in what I'm doing? Not to do things for my own good. I've never followed the money. I've always felt that the money would follow where I would be helpful. I've always felt that. And even when you don't know what is next, if you can just learn to be helpful, that has just always been my North Star. What do I need to learn? What do I need to share? Who do I need to become in order to serve the people I want to serve? That was the chapter title of the first chapter title in my book, You're the Brand, that I put out years ago. Who do you have to become in order to serve the people you want to serve? And if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of change going on right now in the world. People are very disoriented. There's a lot, right? The AI, job, economy, politics, geopolitics, all of that is going on all at once. That means there's a lot of problems to solve. And if you have a skill set, you have experience, you have wisdom that can help people solve those problems, instead of solving the problems that you want to solve, you learn to solve these other problems that are now surfacing, bubbling up, you're gonna be fine, right? That's the way that I look at it. But are those problems the ones that you should be solving? That's how I look at it now. So, and am I doing them with people that I want to be with, right? Doing things that I love with people I love. You're not always going to love everybody that you do things for or with, and you're not always going to love the problems. So do things that you like with people you like. Maybe we'll phrase it that way. But I just wanted to pop in here. I do have to jump back on this next call, but I want to pop in here and just say thank you and share a couple of quick off the cuff reflections of things I've been thinking about. And it's a graduation of sorts and it's bittersweet. And I was sitting with the emotions before. And that's another thing I've learned to do, not just bury the emotion or just move into something new or just numb it, but to sit with it. And there's a saying to invite the feeling to sit with you and have a cup of tea. I think that was a podcast sent to me by my friend Lauren Davis, who also is just an incredible friend that I met through work and for the last decade or so, right? And so you learn to sit with these feelings and just feel it. And today I'm very fortunate that the big feeling I'm feeling is just gratitude. So thank you so much. I don't know when I will be back on this channel or whatever, but I'm definitely going to post this on June 25th, 2026. And I thank you for letting me be a small part of your life. And thank you for being a part of mine. Here's to the future. All right. Thanks so much. See ya.